We welcome you back to Longhorn Weekly here on the Longhorn Network and the Longhorn IMG Radio Network. And we're now joined by what I like to refer to as the Big 12's basketball power couple. The Longhorns senior forward John Holmes and Jonathan. I'm going to let you be the gentleman and introduce the other side of this relationship.
Well, to my right, we have the beautiful Brady Sanders. She's on the women's team. She came to join me today.
And a red-shirted junior, so you guys are basically the same age. Pretty close.
Yep.
Brady, who's actually older?
He's actually older by a couple months.
By a couple of months?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. And you two started dating when you got on campus. How did you meet? On the basketball court?
Well, we met. We were in an All-Star game together before we got up here, the TAPS All-Star game, and we kind of met there. And she hit a buzzer beater. I remember sitting in the stands. Like, she freaks out all the time after she makes big shots. And in the All-Star game,
seen that.
Yeah, she hit a buzzer beater. I remember sitting next to my friends and being like, "Who is that chick freaking out?" And then, we kind of talked then, and then we got to campus and kind of started talking a little bit more.
Brady, what was your first impression of John?
I think the first impression was, whoa, he's really tall. And I know at the All-Star game, like, we met each other because we were like, oh, we're both going to Texas. And two of the girls that were in my freshman class were, like, sitting at the same table as him. And so I'm not a very shocking, but not very outgoing person if I don't know people, like, on a close relationship level. And so I was just like, oh, hey. And then we got to campus, that sort of thing. And then I remember we were all moving in the same day, like the freshman class, we have to do the orientation and that sort of thing. So I think that was the first time we really met, and I was just like, whoa, he's really tall. And so then I guess he had been talking about me to his teammates, and all his freshman class were calling me Mrs. Holmes.
Oh, nice.
And I was like, what are they talking about? Like, I was so lost, but then I found out why.
Had you been talking about her a lot?
Yeah, I remember telling Sheldon I was going to marry her, and he was like, "You're tripping, man." But it ended up, we've been together for a while now. So,
what would you each say was the most surprising thing to learn about one another?
I think for Brady, just we're kind of the same person, but she's a little bit more outgoing. I'm a little laid back, so it kind of works out well. I mean, we get around other couples and other people, and she can take the lead, and I can just sit back and do me. So we really complement each other really well.
What would you say was the most surprising thing you learned about John?
I think for me, like, when you're around him, around a lot of other people, he's very quiet, hardly will even talk. Even if you try and talk to him, he's usually a one-word answer kind of guy. But when it's just me and him hanging out, he does not stop talking. Like,
really?
I mean, I barely get a word in when we're hanging out.
Hard to believe that.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. So I just think it's really nice that he could fully be himself when he's with me. And I think we really just bring out the best in each other.
Is that true, John? I mean, did you literally almost don't stop talking? Is that a nervousness thing of being with her? What is it?
No, I just, I feel comfortable talking to her about anything. So a lot of stuff I go through during daily basis or whatever, I'd come back and we're really good friends above anything else. So, she's always been there so I could talk to.
Now, the part that Brady just mentioned about you being low-key, I've known that side of you all along, and I got to admit, like I said, DeMarcus and Connor and Prince all kind of gave you up yesterday. You came over. You were the first to visit with me after the bids came out, and you in your typical fashion said, well, I was glad it's my senior year, so there was some relief. And that's about all you said. Your teammates said you ran out of the room. You were so excited about that. Now, give a chance to describe that a little bit.
I mean, I was nervous. I woke up pretty early yesterday morning just doing research on bracketology and the selection committee and just seeing our chances of getting in the tournament, and I was really nervous. Just wanted to hear our name get called because I knew we had a group of guys that worked really hard, and I felt like we deserved to be in, so it was just really a relief when we heard our name.
So you were really uptight going in, and then when it came up, tell everybody exactly what you did. Once you saw them say, the third team out of the Big 12, the Texas Longhorns will face Butler.
I was sitting next to DeMarcus, and DeMarcus kept just telling me to calm down because I was just, like, shaking. And after I heard it, I just ran out of the room and I think I gave Slappy a hug and then just came back and just started giving all my teammates hugs. And then after that, we were just my mindset got focused and got back to being serious and trying to get prepared for Butler.
Now, when did you first talk to Brady about the fact you guys were back in the tournament?
Well, she was one of the first people to text me because she knew
how nervous he was.
How nervous I was the days leading up to that, and so she texted me and she was just really happy and just proud of me and stuff like that.
Now, will you be watching the women's selection show this evening to see where the Longhorns go? I mean, there's no nervousness. They're in the field. We know they're going to be in the field. The question is, will they be a 5 seed or a 6 seed, and possibly even still with a chance to host or that sort of stuff? Will you be following all that business?
Yeah, I mean, I'll let her tell me. I don't know if I'll watch the show because I can't. I'm not really good at watching selection shows because I'm just too nervous. But I mean, I'm sure they'll get a pretty high seed and they'll do good wherever they go.
So, Brady, you're not going to tell him to come down to the Lone Star room and just sit with the public and watch it tonight?
Oh, no, he would. That's not the type of person he is. He's so behind the scenes and that sort of thing. But I know he doesn't have to express, like, his feelings about it. Like, I know he's proud of our team, and he supports me and, like, wants me to be happy. And if we get a high seed, I'll be really happy. So, I mean, we both support each other fully. So I'm just excited to see what we're going to get.
All right. Speaking of that, coming up, we'll continue our conversation with Brady Sanders and Jonathan Holmes. We'll talk some basketball-oriented things when Longhorn Weekly continues here on the Longhorn Network and the Longhorn IMG Radio Network. Back on Longhorn Weekly, Jonathan Holmes and Brady Sanders joining us during this portion of the program. Critique each other's game. To start with you, Brady, what's the good points of John's game, and where does he need work?
I think the good things are just how hard he plays. Like, that's one thing I actually learned from him. I've always been I felt like I've always been a person to work hard, play hard. But after watching him a couple of times, it's like, whoa, like, do I actually play that hard? You know, so it kind of made me question how hard am I actually working. So that's one of the things I actually learned from him, and just how aggressive he is. I've seen him grow over the 4 years to be such an offensive threat. And we've had our fair shares of one-on-ones where I have beat him.
Once.
It doesn't matter. I should never beat you, I think. But I think I love his game. You know, I could watch him play all day, every day, but if there's probably an area to work on, I'd probably say not foul.
Stay out of foul trouble.
Yeah, that's probably the one thing, just because I think he has such a potential to change any game as long as he's out there. So there's been a couple ones where he's gotten foul trouble, but...
Yeah, that's true. Of course, you fouled out of a game this year, though, didn't you?
Did I?
Or in the last year. You've had several games where you were, like,
I-
right near the limit.
Yeah, I try and
Stay away
try
from
not
that.
to cross
I
the
understand
line.
that. What do you like about Brady's game, and what needs work?
I'd say just the energy she brings is the biggest thing I see. It's something that, I mean, every team needs a player like that to bring energy and pick everybody up and to kind of lead out there. She's obviously a really good shooter. I'd say sometimes just hone in some of that energy and just try to not burn all your energy on one play. Just, you know, let it go throughout the whole game.
That's interesting. As much time as you guys have with basketball and with school, how do you find time to be a quote-unquote normal couple?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, especially our schedules are different, even though we both play basketball. I mean, sometimes we're playing at home, they're on the road, you know, we both get out of practice late, but I think we found a really good way. Just communication is the biggest thing that has really helped us out a lot in our relationship. So, I mean, just communicating, and the best thing about it is I understand what she's going through, she understands what I'm going through, so there's no nagging or anything like that if I can't hang out or if she can't do certain things, so it works out really well.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like a normal relationship, even with all of the odds and ends, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely normal to us because this is what we're used to now. We're used to him being gone or we're being gone. And I think there's actually only been one day where we've had an off day on the same day. So I think we went to eat and then went to a movie or something like that. So if we get those chances, we definitely make the most of them. But it makes our time together that much more, we don't take that for granted. So I mean, for the most part, I'd say it's normal.
Do y'all ever share information about, for example, you stay at a lot of the same hotels? I know from traveling from broadcasting with the men's and women's games, a lot of the hotels are the same. But West Virginia is the same. There's several that are the same. Do y'all ever like compare notes on stuff? Did you like that hotel? That was awful. Or did you like that? That was good. Or talk about team meals. Do y'all compare notes on things like team-oriented things?
Not really. I think, I mean, more it's like for away games, I think it's more like the atmosphere and just like which buildings were fun to play in and which crowds got into it, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I take it you probably like playing in some of those. Both of y'all played, when you played at Iowa State, both buildings were electric, I know, for both the men's games and women's games. So you get a lot of fun out of that?
Oh, yeah, because I know the away games for us are so fun, just to kind of be like the underdog at the away games, but just to hear like his stories from their away games, I'm like, oh my gosh, like how do y'all deal with that? But it's fun to hear his stories and like his experience with the away games and even the home games that I don't get to go to. So it's good to just like hear his point of view on things.
Got 15 seconds left. Did you want to propose or anything?
Not today.
Okay.
I mean,
we'll just let that go for today. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you coming by.
Thank you.
Jonathan Holmes, Brady Sanders. We'll be back with more when Longhorn Weekly continues in a moment.